Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Trebas Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
A raucous meeting of the San Marcos Unified Governing Board sparked by a social media post. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Tripulsi. A Facebook post by Supervisor Jim Desmond said the district was pushing a policy allowing men in women's bathrooms and locker rooms. About an hour before the meeting, Desmond posted an update saying the district had removed the language regarding bathrooms and locker rooms. But KPBS North County reporter Alexander Nguyen says angry parents still packed last night's meeting.
This is the resolution in question. It's Board Resolution 38, designating San Marcos Unified Schools as safe places for all. It prohibits discrimination and bullying against sexual orientation and gender identity. But that's not what some parents were there to talk about last night.
I'm here today to advocate for the rights of women and girls to be safe in intimate spaces.
Parents were reacting to this Facebook post made by Supervisor Jim Desmond Wednesday morning, saying the district was pushing a policy to allow, quote, men in women's bathroom and locker rooms. Desmond's office sent us this copy of the agenda item, where it states the district would provide access to bathrooms and locker rooms that align with students and staff's gender expression. But the resolution, as voted on last night, did not mention bathrooms or sports, a change Desmond acknowledged in another Facebook post Thursday, saying it happened because of public pressure. At least one parent commented on Desmond's initial post.
I must address County Supervisor Jim Desmond's misleading letter about bathroom policies, which has sparked unfounded fears and harmful misinformation in our community.
Board Vice President Andres Martin also called Desmond's post misinformation.
There was misinformation on this specific resolution. It was edited, and what was publicly given to everybody was not the same thing that was in our former great mayor, Jim Desmond's Facebook post, which is very unfortunate because I feel bad for all of you. It's misinformation.
A district spokesperson said the resolution was not changed after the agenda was posted per the Brown Act. It passed 3-2 after the board agreed to amend several sections. We've asked Desmond's office where and when he received the agenda item where it mentioned bathrooms and locker rooms. We've yet to hear back. In the newsroom, Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
The last of the showers moving out as we've gone throughout the day, and as we head through tonight, still some lingering clouds. Temperatures back into the upper 40s for lows. We'll be talking about a weekend that's warming coming up.
San Diego dropped the race requirement for a program meant to help households of color. KPBS reporter Katie Heisen says a lawsuit claimed it discriminated against white people.
Less than a third of black households in San Diego own a home, compared to more than half of white households. Racist housing and lending practices created that gap. So in 2023, the city of San Diego began offering grants and loans to help households of color buy homes. They called it a first for the San Diego government to have a race-conscious program.
When you tout a program on those terms, you're sort of putting a target on your back.
That's legal analyst Dan Eaton. He says while the 14th Amendment was created to ensure rights for formerly enslaved African Americans, the plain text says governments can't discriminate based on race. That's the argument the Californians for Equal Rights Foundation, or CFER, used to sue. The city dropped race requirements from the program in November, and CFER dropped the suit. Eaton says reverse discrimination suits go back at least to the 1970s. But with the current Supreme Court, they're increasingly successful.
We are going to see more and more of these lawsuits.
The San Diego Housing Commission said only that they're glad the suit was dropped. CFER called it a victory for equality. Katie Heisen, KPBS News.
The city of San Diego is one step closer to adding new shelter beds. Today, the San Diego Housing Commission voted in favor of a plan to replace and expand the Rachel's Promise shelter program. It would offer 210 beds for women experiencing homelessness. The current program is set to close by the end of the year due to redevelopment. It's just one of the several shelter projects in the works as the city tries to offset major closures.
The shelter will offer a blend of different room compositions of congregate, semi-congregate, and non-congregate units. Additionally, the program will offer a dedicated number of beds to serve women ages 55 and older to provide age-friendly accommodations.
The City Council has 7 days to request a formal presentation on the decision. If they don't take action, the program will move forward as planned, beginning in March. Thousands of probationary employees have been fired at federal agencies. Julia Benbrook reports on the Trump administration's effort to slash the workforce.
Since taking office, President Donald Trump and Elon Musk have worked to upend the federal workforce, firing top officials and watchdogs, as well as convincing more than 75,000 workers to voluntarily leave their jobs through a deferred resignation offer. Officials have now set their sights on probationary workers who have typically been employed for less than a year or two. Those workers have fewer job protections and lack the right to appeal the decision. This move has impacted workers in several departments, including Energy, Veterans Affairs, the Department of Education, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and the Small Business Administration. In a statement addressing these layoffs, a spokesperson from the Office of Personnel Management said, quote, "Agencies are taking independent action in light of the recent hiring freeze and in support of the president's broader efforts to restructure and streamline the federal government to better serve the American people at the highest possible standard." According to the most recent data from that agency, more than 200,000 employees have worked within the federal government for less than a year. The dismissal of probationary workers has been in the works since Trump's first day in office. The acting head of OPM sent a memo to all agencies asking them to compile a list of probationary workers and send it to the office. That January 20th memo noted that it's easier to terminate these employees. Reporting at the White House, I'm Julia Benbrook.
Attorneys general from California and 11 other states are taking action against the Trump administration. So-called Department of Government Efficiency got into the Treasury Department's central payment system, giving them unauthorized access to Americans' private information. The coalition is calling for a preliminary injunction. A Carlsbad church is taking a stand against a controversial immigration law and the local congressman who voted for it. KPBS reporter Gustavo Solis says Democratic Rep Mark Levin is just one of 3 Democrats statewide who voted for the Laken-Riley Act.
Immigrant rights has long been at the core of what Pilgrim United Church of Christ is all about. Here is Pastor Madison Shockley.
Our advocacy for immigrant rights and immigrants has been a central part of our ministry and our congregation for decades.
In recent years, members of the congregation have opened their doors to refugees fleeing from life-threatening situations and welcomed migrants dropped off by Border Patrol in the streets of Oceanside. They've also engaged in political advocacy, like in 2018, when Carolyn Thies-Aird and other members of the church took Democratic Congressman Mike Levin on a special tour. He had just been elected to his congressional seat in North San Diego County.
When he was first elected, he was very receptive. We have taken him on a tour down to the border to visit the the shelter for asylum seekers. I feel like he represented himself as someone who was supportive.
But Levin's recent vote on a controversial immigration bill now has the church questioning that support. The new law is called the Laken-Riley Act, named after a 22-year-old Georgia woman who was killed last February by an unauthorized immigrant who had been released after being arrested on theft charges. Among other things, the law requires mandatory detention for immigrants without legal status who are arrested for theft or shoplifting, even if they're not charged or convicted. Backers of the law say that it would have prevented Riley's death. Opponents say it's an overly harsh response to a tragic but rare killing, and that it violates constitutional guarantees of due process. Levin is the only Democrat in San Diego and just one of 3 in all of California who support the law. Shockley says they feel a sense of betrayal.
I was very disappointed in Representative Levin. I wrote to him and expressed my disappointment, much as I've shared today. This does pander to the worst instincts of our nativist neighbors.
Levin declined an interview request or to explain the thought process behind the vote. His spokesperson told KPBS, quote, "We are going to pass on commenting for now." Levin represents the 49th Congressional District, which is considered a swing district, with 36% of registered voters being Democrats and 33% being Republicans. Thies Aird believes that Levin's vote was a way to win over conservative voters in the Purple District.
I think he's worried about his Orange County neighbors reelecting him. And he's always posited that he doesn't vote by what's popular. But I think in this case, I can't see any other reason why he would vote yes on it.
Other San Diego Democrats who voted against the bill told KPBS that they're concerned about possible due process violations. Congressman Juan Vargas says, quote, "Immigrants who are convicted of crimes are already subject to deportation. This bill exploits a horrible tragedy to strip away civil liberties." Congressman Scott Peters says he supports a strong border and deporting immigrants convicted of violent crimes. But he voted against the bill because it, quote, "eliminates bedrock due process values for people." Both represent solidly blue districts. Congressman Darrell Issa is the only Republican representing San Diego. He says he was proud to vote for the bipartisan bill, calling it a, quote, "important law enforcement reform that will make us safer." Back at Pilgrim United, Pastor Shockley says the Lake and Riley Act will not change the church's work with the immigrant community.
They say, I don't want to just sit here and think about the issues. I want to be engaged. I want to make a difference in the real world because we're a border city, as you know, being 51 miles from the Mexico border, and we can see the impact of what happens in Washington, D.C.
Addressing that impact remains central to their ministry. Gustavo Solis, KPBS News.
And KPBS heard from Representative Levin's office today after a version of this story was published online. The statement said Levin took this vote seriously and carefully considered all sides before making a decision. It went on to say, quote, "If large-scale deportations of undocumented immigrants who have not committed crimes happen in our communities, I will fight back with every tool I have." The Armed Services YMCA opened a new food pantry at Camp Pendleton with about 1 in 4 military families experiencing food insecurity. KPBS military reporter Andrew Dyer says this new pantry is needed.
We are deeply grateful for your partnership and the dedication to building a stronger, healthier community.
Marines, donors, and volunteers are at the Camp Pendleton Armed Services YMCA for the pantry's grand opening. The YMCA says last year they served almost 3,000 military families, and so far in 2025, demand is up 65%.
It's important to remember that the military is a microcosm of the broader population, and so when things like inflation and cost of living go up, military families are not immune to feeling the pinch from that.
Shannon Resident is the CEO of the Military Family Advisory Network, a nonprofit that researches quality of life issues. She says 1 in 4 military families experience food insecurity, and it's connected mostly to 4 factors.
1, a growing family. 2, an unexpected hit to the budget. 3, a recent move. And then 4, challenges with military spouse employment.
The pantry on Camp Pendleton is designed to be a judgment-free zone for service members. There's no rank or income restrictions. Corporal Jacqueline Hernandez is a single mother of 4 kids under age 3. She says Marines sometimes don't want to ask for help.
I feel like a lot of people are just ashamed to ever ask for help when they need it, or like they're actually struggling, or their families, I don't know, they don't have a spouse to help them or whatever it is.
Congress has tried over the years to improve quality of life issues with more pay and funding for childcare. The most recent budget included a 10% pay bump for enlisted personnel E4 and below, including Hernandez.
Yeah, it has definitely helped me out. But like I said, I feel like the financial struggles are still there, especially when you have a big family. God blessed me with 4 beautiful children. I will never take them back. Like, they're my blessing, but it has definitely been a hardship on me.
The pantry offers a mix of dry goods, fresh vegetables, and some household essentials. Residents says it's not unusual for food banks to set up pantries on or near military bases.
And one of the things that we've seen over the course of the last several years is it's getting easier for people to ask for support, and that's a good thing.
The Armed Forces YMCA says they accept donations and volunteer opportunities are always available. More information can be found at camppendleton.asymca.org. Andrew Dyer, KPBS News.
Kids in Oceanside are learning about food and culture around the world through beans. KPBS education reporter Katie Anastas takes us to the Cool Beans Club.
Thumbs up if you see a rainbow. Class is in session for the Cool Beans Club at the Oceanside Public Library. Each month features a different bean from around the world. Today, it's soybeans.
I'm crazy about beans. They're economical, they're versatile, multicultural, and they have a long shelf life. They're pennies on the dollar. It's the most high-value protein food.
Barbara Gates came up with the idea about 25 years ago when her kids were in elementary school. She saw a need for nutrition education that emphasized plants, not just dairy and meat.
Beans have this special nutrient that starts with an F. Fiber. That's right. Good job.
Along with the environmental and health benefits of beans, kids and caregivers learn about cultures that cook with them. Monthly lessons align with holidays. This month, it's the Lunar New Year.
As with most holidays, gathering together to enjoy delicious meals is a big part of the celebration too. Yeah, so the cooking pot you see in the center of this photo is called a wok. And a wok is shaped like a big bowl, and it cooks food really fast over really high heat.
Gates says getting kids involved in the cooking process can help encourage them to try new foods. Raymond Lyons was there with his granddaughter, Olive. He says they're also learning to respect other cultures and the environment.
Teaching them good nutrients is also teaching them, hey, we got a big, broad world, and so we got to take care of it.
Olive was here last month, too, learning about navy beans. Today's dish is lettuce wraps featuring tofu, snap peas, mandarin oranges, and teriyaki sauce.
I think they're going to be delicious.
Lisa Furno-Haynes is the senior librarian for youth services. She saw Gates' curriculum as a perfect fit leading up to the summertime, when they partner with local organizations to give out boxes of food.
I would have families tell me, oh my God, I loved that. Thank you so much. But I don't even know what this is or what to do with it. And yeah, we don't all know what to do with things. So I wanted to find a program that uses basic pantry items and basic fruits and vegetables that everybody knows of. If they don't, then they learn it in the class.
Next month's class is about lentils and the Hindu festival Holi. Teachers who want to bring the lessons to their classrooms can access the Cool Beans curriculum online. Healthy Kids, Happy Planet also offers grants to cover food costs for cooking activities. Katie Anastas, KPBS News.
Some of the same Los Angeles area residents recovering from wildfires are now dealing with mudslides. Amy Kiley has a look at the damage.
We have fires all the time, we have mudslides, but nothing as apocalyptic as this.
After mudslides and floods last night comes the cleanup in Southern California.
We are finally starting to see light at the end of the tunnel. The storm system responsible for the atmospheric river moving on.
Meteorologists say barren burn scars left over from recent wildfires were no match for the torrential rain.
Fire came right down here about 25 feet away from our house.
Officials say mudslides closed part of the Pacific Coast Highway yesterday. The famous Duke's restaurant is among the spots affected. And here's a look at an earlier daytime mudslide on the same road. Officials also say a debris flow in the Hollywood Hills dumped around 8 inches of mud on Mulholland Drive. In Malibu, police say another one pushed this car into the ocean. As for homeowners,
If anything comes down from the hill that makes it over our area, then that's my history.
Officials say multiple counties were under evacuation warnings and orders. Sandbags and barriers remaining behind in an effort to protect homes.
There's a tremendous amount of burn scar above us, way more than we've ever had in any previous fire. It's got nowhere to go than to come down.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Just taking a look at the numbers that we have seen just in the past couple of hours. A lot of these measured right through Friday morning of 4 to 5 inches of rain across our area through the counties. Obviously, the upslope areas, the mountains picking up the most in the way of rainfall, but it has truly been beneficial and impressive across the region, creating some challenges, obviously. As we head through the upcoming hours, though, those showers really coming to an end. The winds will also weaken where they still remain across some of those mountainous areas. And then we are talking about a warming trend for the weekend as onshore flow kicks in for early next week. And that'll bring some changes for us, too. As we look at tonight, 49 the low for the city as you head towards Oceanside, 46 degrees. Mount Laguna bottoming out at 35 degrees. Again, those winds eventually dying down into tomorrow as the storm system pushes farther and farther to the east, which leaves us with a drier, quieter Saturday ahead. A look across the area puts our numbers at 65 in the city. Chula Vista coming in at 67 degrees, and you can even see Oceanside there back into the mid-60s. So most of us enjoying a pretty peaceful Saturday and getting into the rest of the weekend here. The numbers go up from there towards the coast. We're in the upper 60s on Sunday. Notice the clouds increasing. Onshore flow kicks in on Monday, and that'll cap us in the mid-60s with a few more clouds to come in that forecast. In fact, everyone will note those clouds, including our inland locations in the upper 60s for highs. But Sunday, mild as we hit the mid-70s. A very peaceful setup here for the weekend, especially after all the rain we have had. That's also true in the mountainous locations where we climb from the 40s into the 50s by the time we head into Sunday afternoon. We'll hold on to that as those onshore flows continue into Monday with some of those winds increasing for the mountainous areas and desert communities. Holding on to the upper 70s on Monday with some of that sunshine still coming through. For KPBS News, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Melissa Constancer.
KPBS is feeling the love this Valentine's Day. We asked you to share your San Diego love stories, whether it's about a partner, a friend, or even a favorite place. You can read the results on our website. Just go to kpbs.org/lovestory. Black Comics Day Heroes Rise 7 returns to the World Beat Cultural Center this weekend. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando speaks with founder Keithan Jones about the challenges of running the event while pursuing his own career as a comics creator.
Keithan Jones creates comics.
I've been drawing ever since I was a young child.
His latest creation is Grit.
It's a character who used to work for the United States government. I'm in the vein of Captain America. And his code name was Integrity, but they call him Grit for short. He is a former government operative that wants to ensure that Old Glory still flies and there's meaning behind it and it stands for something. And this is also kind of a callback to what Jack Kirby and Stan Lee did with Captain America. I mean, the reason they created Captain America was a response to the rise of Hitler. I'm just kind of riding that same vein, conveying my patriotism through my art.
And there's no better place to debut a new black superhero than at Black Comics Day, Heroes Rise 7. It's a celebration at the World Beat Cultural Center that showcases black creatives and pop culture. Jones founded the event in 2018 and is the chief organizer.
This show is mainly focused on comic books and the black creators behind it. Is I try to gather as many professionals from the industry and also from the indie scene.
But while Black Comics Day is the perfect place to debut American Grit, it also means another deadline for Jones to meet.
I am a professional artist and I'm used to meeting deadlines. It's just that this time I put it on myself extra. You know, it's a challenge, but I'll rise to the task.
Rising to the task defines Jones. It also inspires others like Mikkel Dedman, who's been printing the Black Comics Day shirts for the past 4 years.
A lot of you guys don't know. You think it's just 3 days that he's doing this, but literally he starts in the summertime. It's crazy. So just to be a part of that, it helps me understand that, if you want to do something like this, it is going to take dedication.
From the outside, the work of comic book artists might look easy and fun.
What they don't see is all the artists, all the nights that they're crying with their head in their hands because they don't know if they'll have enough time to pull it off or they have enough money to fund it or print it.
Those challenges will be addressed this weekend. On Saturday, there's a panel called Empowered, the Business of Indie Comics.
It's about the actual process of making a comic book, from the concept to the actual publishing, how to get it in stores, so on and so forth.
Jones will moderate the Sunday panel.
We're going to talk about those haters out there that want to knock you down when you're trying to achieve something, and that panel's called Tell 'em Kick Rocks. That's going to be a panel of testimonies about how we conquered our demons.
Admission is free, so you can spend your money supporting Black-owned businesses in the comic book industry. You can even buy a copy of American Grit, hot off the press.
All right, so this is the original art of the cover. It's a shot of our character in a heroic pose from the back view. I wanted to get a nice clear view of his afro pick. He has a normal afro pick that turns into this giant battle afro pick that he derives his power from.
While Black Comics Day highlights Black culture, the event welcomes everyone.
And I hope all the people out there don't forget what does make this country great, that we are accepting of different cultures and ethnicities and genders and whatnot. I just hope that we don't lose that spirit of what this country is actually about, and hopefully get past this current division that we find ourselves mired in.
Black Comics Day, Heroes Rise 7, takes place this weekend at the World Beat Cultural Center, bringing a lot of positive energy to the community. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
Tonight's stories are on our website, kpbs.org. I wish you a good night and a happy Valentine's Day.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.